just turn this back up. Okay. If you give me 4 more minutes of your attention, we'll get right to it. What's up, you need your mic? Cool. Okay. There's a lot of important stuff. If you know me, you know that I don't ever write things down when I talk, and this is the first time I've ever done that, so bear with me. First and foremost, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Yeska Cannabis Company, Tokativity, Elevated Heart Events, Oregon Retailers and Cannabis Association, Emerge Law Group, Workspace Commercial, and Howard Greenfield. Young Sons Flower Company, Flight Lounge, Oregon Cannabis Compliance Council, Two Roots, Lonely Law Group, Dynasty Genetics, Relic Seeds, let's just get a constant round of applause here. Cultivation Classic, Greenleaf Labs, 10th Planet Portland Jiu-Jitsu, Oregon's Finest, Duff Johnson Consulting, Lotus Law Group, Cascade Classic, Expo Retreat, Pixie Cakes Oregon, Cannabis Cooking Magazine, Artistic Clips Portraits, and last, but certainly not least, Senator Lou Frederick and his Chief of Staff, Troy Moore, for introducing our bill. Honestly, this entire campaign has been a major volunteer effort put on by a small group of dedicated individuals who have collectively devoted hundreds of hours of our personal time, energy, money, blood, sweat, and tears to get to this campaign and the issue of cannabis consumption in Oregon where it is today. Second, if you don't already know, let me tell you, this is not your average campaign to change existing cannabis laws. Yes, we absolutely need a top-down, well-funded, and well-represented effort in Salem if we're going to get anywhere at all. This means we also need to have a real, bottom-up, grassroots organizing campaign, not to just tell legislators why cannabis consumers deserve the right to have a legal place to consume. We need to show them. This can only happen through a meticulously organized constituent lobbying effort where supporters of the issue empower themselves to become the voice of the campaign in their own district. We need leaders across the state in every community helping other people get connected with the campaign, the press, and their own legislators to show them we're not going anywhere. And now I'm going to get into our priorities, and I'm going to charge every person talking $20. Our priorities for this legislative session and what our bill aims to accomplish are the 4 main pillars. 1, allow for consumption to happen at licensed retail, production, and processing facilities. Doesn't sound that much different than wine and beer. 2, allow for standalone consumption cafes. If you want to come and share your product with other people, you should have the right to do that. 3, create temporary cannabis event licenses just like we have for alcohol. And 4, allow deliveries to hotels and temporary residences. Because if you're coming here and you don't feel like walking across town and you got a spot you want to deliver, it should be able to deliver right here to the Jupiter Hotel. So here's the unfortunate part. Unfortunately, here in Oregon, there's no meaningful reform without a waiver for cannabis from the Indoor Clean Air Act. Some of you may be aware that we originally had scheduled a lobby day yesterday that we ended up postponing. We did this because of a meeting we had the previous week with stakeholders from city and county governments, law enforcement, legislators, and public health representatives. It's become very clear to us that while there are some legislators and even some well-known cannabis industry groups who say they support sensible cannabis reforms, there are actually only a handful that are willing to stand up and do what's right for the industry, cannabis consumers, and the general public at large by fighting for a cannabis waiver in the Indoor Clean Air Act. There are currently 2 bills being drafted on cannabis consumption. If you actually care about the details, you're going to want to hear this. One is meaningful social cannabis consumption reform. The other isn't. One creates spaces to consume cannabis inside that people can use year-round. The other makes it more difficult, expensive, and complicated to consume outdoors on patios. One allows for producers, processors to conduct tours and allow tastings and even limited sales on site. The other does not. One benefits everyone and creates lower barriers of entry into the cannabis space by having low fees and less regulation. The other only benefits a small number of people. If the folks behind other bills are not willing to challenge the Indoor Clean Air Act, we will. Our strategy is twofold. We're going to the legislature. It's early. There's a big room full of people here. If half of you show up to our next lobby day, we're going to change some minds. I guarantee it. And in the event that we find out that we can't change enough minds, we're confident that with over 600 retailers in the state, we can mobilize cannabis consumers into the biggest grassroots organizing campaign the state of Oregon has ever seen. So what can you do? Donate, buy auction items, and get involved politically. And if you want to know what that means, come talk to me afterwards, because we've spent enough time talking about it. There's one last entity I'd like to thank, and that's the Jupiter Hotel. Give it up. I've been talking to the Jupiter Hotel about this issue for several years, and if you've ever stayed at the Jupiter Hotel, you'll notice they have a 420 package. It has everything but weed in it. They support our issue. They have donated this space here tonight to us for this event. That doesn't happen all the time. And last but not least, can I get John with the beads? John with the beads. Pull up the beads. We're about to have an auction. If you'd like to jump in the auction, it's a heads or tails. It is for a private infused dinner in your own home that is catered to your own diets and preferences and paired with wine. It has a $1,000 cash value. We are going to give that away in about 10 minutes through a game called Heads or Tails. You buy beads, one bead is a life. We'll flip a coin, and in the air you have to choose heads or tails. If you lose, you get rid of a bead. The last person standing takes home an infused dinner for 6 people. $10 or 3 for 20. Go ahead and buy them from John. John, raise your hand a little bit. Yeah.